And just made it out to my car here, and it actually just finished charging at 100%. Let me show you here. And it charged to 100%, 270 miles. And we can switch to conserve mode, but I think we're fine on range. And I'm gonna clean this absolutely filthy windshield, and then we'll hit the road. So I just did some math on my Electrify America session from last night. If I had used Pass Plus, if it wasn't a complimentary session like it was, I added 49.8 kilowatt hour, and it would have been $3.60 because it was only 15 minutes, and it would have been 24 cents a minute. And that works out to 7.2 cents per kilowatt hour, which is cheaper than most people's home charging rates. Time-based billing is just the silliest thing for EV charging, and it makes absolutely no sense. And especially the craziest part is that a slower charging EV would have had a much higher kilowatt hour rate than I did using a fast charging car and only charging a little bit. But let me show you what we're doing today. We're gonna be heading to Discount Tire first. I wanna see about getting the road hazard certificates or whatever for this truck, given that the tires are pretty pricey. I've never done it before, so I don't really know how that works or what the cost is or anything like that. And then we'll start heading east. I'm not sure where we're gonna end up. I haven't really thought about that a whole lot. Maybe Memphis, but we shall see. So we're just gonna head over to this Discount Tire a couple miles away. It's so strange that Rivian's using Yelp in their navigation. Who even uses Yelp? And before we depart, let's look at the stats from yesterday and reset this. So 521 miles, 286.3 kilowatt hour. 1.82 mile per kilowatt hour. Not too terrible, especially considering the speeds I was going. So we'll reset that. Maybe. There we go. And then here's from since we got the truck. So 2368 miles. 1.76 miles per kilowatt hour. Let's get on the road here. Well, I purchased the road hazard certificates from Discount Tire behind us here. Maybe you can see that. Ended up being $311 for either 3 years or until 30 seconds of tread depth. So I think that's worth it. It's cheaper than one tire replacement from Rivian, and that way I just don't have to think about it. I mean, if I get a puncture, well, it doesn't really matter a whole lot at that point. But now we're hitting the road, and I'll show you where we're headed. So first stop, Eric, Oklahoma. We don't need to stop that soon, but it's at a Love's, which is kind of a nice spot instead of, I think the rest are at Walmart's. So I'd rather stop at a Love's, a little bit better amenities for driving. We're gonna have to deep charge here, I believe, in Oklahoma City area in order to make it to this one here in Arkansas. There we go. Alternatively, I could go up through St. Louis. So I need to figure out what my route is and go from there and see where I kind of want to end up tonight. But we'll at least head here and then figure that out from there. Because we're headed to Charlotte, which is all the way over here. So we could go up and then down, or we could go this way. Not a huge difference. Either way, you're kind of either bending it down or bending it up. Well, we just arrived in Eric, Oklahoma, and we have used 65% of the battery in 117 miles, so I think we did pretty well there, 1.48 mile per kilowatt hour. We were definitely driving a bit quickly. And let's get plugged in here. We're at a 350 kilowatt station. Tires are not that hot, actually, which is good. Pretty impressed with the thermals of these tires, actually, for being such a heavy duty tire, or not heavy duty, but aggressive tire. You would think that they would heat up more, especially with an 8,000 pound truck, but they actually don't. So we're plugged in now. Truck is covered in bugs still, of course. We're at a Love's. Always a big fan of truck stop gas station charging stations because they're actually designed to serve drivers, unlike a Walmart. We've got some DOT inspections, tires, stuff like that here. Truck is looking great as always. We've got the chargers right up front here. 150 kilowatt, 350, 350, 150. And it sounds like we're charging now. Maybe, or just about to start charging. And we've got a green light. Let's look inside the truck and see what kind of speeds we're getting. And it's ramping up here. We should actually get up to, I think, 200 plus. I still haven't perfectly learned the charging curve on this yet. Energy, there we go. Yeah, that's looking really good so far. And given that we have a higher pack voltage, it might even hit 210 as it pulls it up here. So we'll keep charging here. I need to figure out where we're going next. Well, we've just started tapering pretty heavily here. Think I have a tentative plan to spend the night in Memphis over here, or maybe, I don't know, somewhere in here-ish, between Little Rock and Memphis. We'll see. But we're going to be heading to this Electrify America here. And it looks like there's nothing in between here, but there's actually some Francis Energy chargers in there. They say they're 200 kilowatt, but I think they're only 350 amps. But that'll be adequate to bridge the gap between Electrify America here and Electrify America here. I'm actually going to be bypassing this one most likely because it's totally out of the way for where we're going. But we'll go here. I think this is like 75 miles. Yep, so we'll rip it there and then we'll charge up. And let's get unplugged here. So session summary here, 16 minutes. Wow. Just like that. And we're up to 65%. Let's get unplugged. And of course the charger still thinks we're charging, which we're not, even though we're totally unplugged. Well, I'm not gonna wait for that. Let's get on the road here. Watch the charge port close. It's so nifty. We'll see how long that lasts. But 16-minute stop in a truck, certainly can't complain. That's some great time, and let's get to it. And we're now in Weatherford, Oklahoma. We've arrived with 26%. Let's see here. Not great efficiency, but makes sense given the speeds. And we're at 191 miles driven so far today, 2,559. So let's get plugged in here. Another unit with a complimentary session. But interestingly, this one's not showing complimentary session, so that's kind of weird. So we'll let that get set up there. Let's take a look at the health of this station. Got our Chatamo unit over here. That one appears to be functioning. Sounds like we're actually charging. We'll take a look at that in a second. As I mentioned, this one's shown as not complimentary. It would say complimentary session right there. Weird. Let's see what this one's like. And this one's complimentary session as well. So not really sure why that one's not complimentary. Maybe it just didn't get the update push, I guess. Similar to what we saw in, where was it? Council Bluffs, Iowa. And you'll see it in the driving montage, but I actually saw a launch green R1T as we were driving along, and it got on the interstate right alongside us. So that was kind of cool. I ended up passing them, but let's check on charging speeds here and see how it's looking. Well, that is not what we want, 36 kilowatts. So gonna swap cables because 36 kilowatt means that the cable is not functioning properly. Glad we caught it now rather than letting it sit for a while. So we'll swap to this other cable, hope for the best. So we added less than 1 kilowatt hour, but that's fine. Yeah, just like that. Finish. Sometimes it doesn't like to work unless it's finished. So now we're plugged in on the other cable. Hopefully this one gives us full power. Typically these shorter cables like this are the older cables, so hopefully this one works better. We'll find out one way. Let's see. It's communicating, so that's a good sign. And we've got power. Hopefully it ramps pretty fast. Maybe not. Well, that's not a great sign. So I'm going to stop this. Just gonna try plugging in this one, see what happens before I move over to one of the 150s. Added 0.2 kilowatt hour, but let's try this here. Doesn't hurt to try. So it says plug in first, connecting to vehicle. Let's see if it just starts and it just doesn't have the message. That'd be great. Okay, so it wants me to pay. Let me get this started here. Well, that's super weird. So I started it on the app, but it's not showing my name. So it somehow activated it, but I'm not entirely sure. But it sounds like we're charging. Let's see our speeds here. And that's a lot more like it. So 205 kilowatt is what I would expect. Glad to see it's functioning. So, gonna get charged up here, might run into Walmart, and we'll see where we're going next. It's going to be a Francis energy charger. Well, I ended up moving to this 150 kilowatt unit here, leaving the Chatham open in case. So the number 3, that was not working, or was giving 36 kilowatt. That may as well be not working. This one was paid, which why would I want to pay when I could use free? And then this one is a 150. I would assume the Chatham was working, but I'm not entirely sure. I didn't try it or anything. But this one's on free vend, and we're getting 155 kilowatt, or 156 even, 157, look at that. So certainly not complaining about those speeds, and just going to charge up till it tapers, and I'll see where we're headed next. Well, we're getting really good speeds on this 150 kilowatt unit, getting 160 kilowatts, because these are actually 175 kilowatt units, but they're labeled as 150 because you have to have a higher pack voltage like the Rivian does to take advantage of more than 150. This is where we're headed next, 158 miles, so we'll probably charge to like 60-70% and then continue on. I think the speeds will be a bit lower through Oklahoma City, so I'm not as concerned with having tons of range to blast across the state. Then we'll probably stop here before the border. There's another Francis 200 kilowatt. And then I think there's Clarksville is the next Electrify America. Went and used the restroom, and now it's time to unplug here. So we've added almost 59 kilowatt hour in 25 minutes. Not bad, from 32 to 80%. So charging just stopped here. Just like that. Let's see what it shows. I like to see what the cost would have been. Fans are just ripping on the Rivian. And we're back in the truck. Estimated 210 miles, 76%. Thinks we can make it to the Francis charger. Let's see if it updates here again. With 34 miles, perfect. Those are time-based billing, so it's a $1 session fee, and then I think it's like 39 cents a minute. So definitely want to be there as little as possible and get as much power while we're at it as possible as well. So let's get to it, and we'll be going through Oklahoma City, and then we'll be continuing on to most likely Memphis, or I'll see somewhere along here, because we'll be getting to this one at 4:11 p.m. and then go from there. While we're going along here and going to flip it from all-purpose to conserve, just going to save a bit of power here. And I'm gonna turn off auto, or sorry, turn off auto, there we go. So now we have 226 miles, so let's get to it. Made a detour on the way to Henrietta to check out this very interesting charging install because we've got island style chargers, which are not at all common in North America. Not actually going to charge here, but just wanted to check this out. So we've got two 50 kilowatt ABB units with interesting retractors. These are actually spring based rather than the more typical weight based system. These are, like I said, 50 kilowatt. Let's see if we have part numbers on them. So these are old Terra 54s, and they were made in 2019. So these will do up to 125 amps. And over here, we've got even weirder. These are not at all common in the US. They're very common in Canada. So these are Flow brand or Add Energy brand chargers. What's really weird is that they have all this Flow charging information over here, in addition to the Francis Energy stuff. So I don't think any of this is actually relevant, but this is. So these are 100 kilowatt to my knowledge units. Let's see if there's a sticker on them. Yep, there we go. So these are from 2020, and this will do up to 130 amps. Or sorry, that's input. Output up to 200 amps. So I would call that a 100 kilowatt, even though not every vehicle will get that. So we've got another unit over here as well. So same thing. Again, super weird to see these. This must be like a test site or something for Francis Energy. Interesting bases too. Not sure how they're mounted. Very weird. And then over here we've got 4 BTC old school units. So we've got 2 power cabinets. So each island of these must be shared. So these are going to be the fastest units on the site because that's a liquid cooled cable similar to what Electrify America uses. This is the only one that's actually working. And I believe these are up to 200 kilowatts with enough voltage because they're up to 350 amps max. So this one's unavailable, awaiting parts. Let's see over here. Same thing on this one as well. And let's see the other side as well. Yep, okay, same thing on this side too. And then over here we've got the kind of interesting setup going on. So we've got the transformer, of course. We don't have a normal meter socket in there. There must be a meter somewhere else. That's weird. Hopefully we have a meter on the transformer itself. Huh, I don't see one. So meter must be somewhere around here. And then we've got our big switch panels. We've got a lot of 4-inch conduits. We've got our H-frame step-down transformer here. This is, let's see. So this is 480 to 208 120, and it's a 75 kVA transformer. So that's probably for the auxiliary power for the BTC stuff, and maybe also the flow. I'm not entirely sure. These must be disconnects. And then over here we've got the power cabinets for the BTC units. And these are 200 kilowatt units, output up to 350 amps. So pretty interesting setup, I'd say. I wonder if these are, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But here you can see the whole setup. Overall, pretty nice looking setup, and I like it. Well, I just arrived to an EV charging station, except this is not the right one. I guess there's two in this town, and I put the wrong address in. These are 50 kilowatt, I believe, and same with those. Either way, they both have 200 amp cables, and I'm not really interested in charging longer than I need to. So we're gonna go across the street-ish to the faster 200 kilowatt ones. But actually, before we take off, I've never seen these before, so I'm curious who makes them. Let's look at the data label here. Tellus Power, never heard of them. They're only 60 kilowatt, and they're only up to 500 volts, and they'll only output up to 140 amps. So really not that useful for the big boy Rivian. Let's just confirm these while we're at it. Where do we have a label on these? Oh, there we go. So these are taking 208 volt three-phase input, which is really interesting, and they'll do up to 150 amps output, or 115 amps output. So I guess these would be classified as 50 kilowatt. Very strange, and looks like they've been here a long time. I don't recall if I mentioned this at the last stop, but I have an update that is ready to install, so I'll do that later, and I can't install unless I have 35 miles of charge, so pretty smart about that. And let's see here. Quite a few improvements, but I'll go through that in a moment. We're at 10% state of charge. Let's see how far we've driven. We're up to 349 miles driven today, 217.9 kilowatt hour. Let's get to the energy screen. 29 miles remaining. So they've got the transformer and the equipment in there. We've got the BTC dispensers here. Hopefully these work all right. Really not a great setup. I tried to go over there because they say they're at Jiffy Mart, which is this building here, and the gas station on the other side. But yeah, you can't. I tried to go through here. I guess I could have gone off-roading, but probably not preferred for most people. So I want to try and activate this with my credit card because I don't actually want to load $20, which is what they require for the app. So I'm going to try and swipe that and see. Give me 1 second here. All right, so the instructions say plug in your vehicle. Okay, I can do that. Just like that. Those cables have clearly seen better days, so we'll hit credit card here. See if that worked. Credit card, okay. Let's try this again here. So I think I maybe got the credit card reader to work, so let me punch in my phone number here. So authorizing payment authorized, that's good. Curious to see how much they authorized for it, and we're initiating. I hear good noises. Cable cooling starting. And let's see what kind of power we get. Well, we should get 350 amps, which should end up being about 150 kilowatts, and we're only gonna charge enough till we can, or till it tapers. I don't know how to make that go away. Okay. So we're charging now. Pretty solid power, I like that. And 131 kilowatt at low state of charge is pretty expected. So going to let it charge up here. I need to figure out how far to the next one so we can charge as minimal as possible, given that it's time-based billing. And we're just about to taper here at 57%, or at least it should. And then that's when we'll unplug once it starts dropping here. You see in the vehicle. We've been charging for 31 minutes. And I'm just gonna wait until it tapers because there's no reason to unplug any sooner. We're going to the same kind of station, so may as well just leave it plugged in where we know it works, know it's pretty fast. And we've only got 87 miles to go. But it should be tapering pretty much right about now. Maybe a little bit later based on thermals since it started a bit lower, but I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with this charging session. I'm curious to see what the cost is because these charging stations don't actually show you the cost at all. There's no way even before activating it to see the cost. I tried. But let's just keeping an eye on it here. I could have sworn it was 57% that it starts throttling off of 150, but maybe it was 62. And as you'll see, we're getting higher kilowatt now than we did when we first plugged in, even though it's running a consistent power, because these dispensers are 350 amp limited. So as the vehicle's pack voltage goes up, that's when you can get more power, because volts times amps equals watts. I'm curious to see if there's any change in the new charging curve as well. I don't think there was. There wasn't anything mentioned in the notes other than some thermal information. They would run the fans a little bit less once you're done charging. So definitely going to install it tonight. We'll play with it tomorrow. Oh, it's holding nice power. Let's see if it drops at any point here soon. It should, but it hasn't. But 77.4, 77.5 kilowatt hour added, not bad. And actually a pretty minimal amount of power went to cooling and low voltage accessories. All right, and we just crossed, it must have been 62% that it throttles when you're on a 150. So it's now dropping. We're gonna stop the charging session. We wanna get the best amount of kilowatt hours per dollar that we're spending on minutes, because we're billing based on time here. So let's get that session summary there. 80.1 kilowatt hour, 34 minutes. Unplug here. So this says 79.1, 34 minutes. So it's always interesting. The Rivian seems to think it's getting more power than it is. I've noticed that pretty consistently. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed that as well if you have a Rivian. And I'm gonna wait and see if I get a receipt, because I put in my phone number and I should get a text receipt in theory, and then I can go from there. Also curious to see what the cost ends up being. But let's get on the road here. So this is where we're going, Roland, Oklahoma. So we'll get there with 71 miles of estimated range if we drive nicely, which I maybe will, maybe won't. But let's get going.
It's easy to remember where I started, the doors that opened up, a place I long to find. My fear and money disregarded for another time. No, I didn't know it hit me out of nowhere.
We just arrived in Roland, Oklahoma, and we've arrived with 59 miles estimated, 21%, and we're gonna plug in here at this also Francis Energy charger. It's at this Interstate Inn hotel. There's a gas station, Phillips 66, and McDonald's. There's also a Pilot across the street. So actually not bad, but I'd prefer if it was like at one of these fueling stations rather than at the hotel. They both look like they're operational, so I'll get plugged in and see how it goes. And just like that, we're charging here. Another $20 authorization from Francis Solar is what it's called on my credit card. And I'm gonna give you a tour of the equipment over here while it's ramping up, and then we'll come back and check on it. So this is just kind of chaos. They've got one cabinet back there, but they're set up for two. They've got a step-down transformer here. Just seems like a lot is going on back here for not really a whole lot. So that's the power cabinet itself. I don't know what happened there. It looks like water sitting or something. Then we've got a 75 kVA step-down from 480 to 208 120. Yeah, I don't quite understand why this is so large back here. And we should be ramped up here now. Let's take a look and see how we're doing. No, that's not good. We're getting 36 kilowatt. That means that cable is faulty. So I'm gonna see if that will reach. I don't think it will, but we'll switch because glad I checked. So let's go ahead and stop charging here. Man, Rivian's really insistent about me installing this update. So let's swap stalls, I guess. Hopefully this one works better. All right, I did end up having to move the car. I don't know if you can see that screen is really not that bright. So it's initiating, cable cooling's running. Let's see if we're getting full speed on this one. Power starting to flow, that's good. Oh, hallelujah, we're over 36. That means the cable's at least working. And then we'll probably charge all the way up to 62%, just like we did the last one. That's the point where it tapers. Maybe a little bit less. I'll have to see how far it is to the next Electrify America. But 140 is normal for 22% because as the voltage comes up, the power will go up. Well, that's not great. This station just stopped after 2 minutes and 4 kilowatt hour. So yeah, that's fun. See if it gives a message at all. Yeah, it says charging stop. So I guess we'll try again here. Well, let's try this again. Just got another $20 authorization. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on my credit card statement to make sure that I am charged appropriately and not more than it should be. We should be charging now again. Let's take a look here. It says starting. And hopefully it doesn't stop after 2 minutes this time. Well, it just did it again. So let's see. It's only 65 miles to get to the Electrify America. Let's see if we put it in conserve. I think we're just going to get going and head to the Electrify America because this does not work. We'll just have to drive reasonably, which is easier said than done. But let's get on the road. I'm tired of this. This is stupid. I don't know why it's so hard for all these companies to have charging hardware that just works. Shouldn't be difficult.
No, I didn't know it, but I had to go there. Take me back to the place I'm missing. Oh, I wanna catch a fever in the underground. I remember dreaming, rolling up.
Well, we're at 2%, 4 miles estimated, but we made it. We're in Clarksville, Arkansas. We're at nearly 500 miles for the day. Miles per kilowatt hour is creeping up a little bit, actually. There we have that. Let's get to the energy screen so we're ready for when we start charging. And let's get plugged in here. I believe this 350 should work. At least that's what PlugShare was kind of indicating, but it wasn't super definitive. There weren't a ton of recent check-ins. Let's go with this handle first. So, there we have it. Even more bugs on the front end. Definitely need to get a wash soon-ish. Over here we have a 350 that was at limited power. On the EA app, it was showing us 50 kilowatt. This one looks fine, 150. I guess I should have maybe pulled up a little bit further, but just shows the importance of having longer parking spots for EV charging nowadays with trucks on the market. And then here we have the Chatamo CCS. That one looks good as well. We've got, let's see what size transformer over here. We've got a 750 kVA transformer over here. And we're at yet another Walmart. Everyone's favorite place when they're on a road trip, right? Let's take a look and see what kind of speeds we're getting. Well, that's actually great news. We're getting full power. So 190 kilowatt and at low state of charge, low pack voltage, that is to be expected. So hopefully that keeps up. I need to see what kind of snacks I have. And then maybe I'll run into Walmart, grab some more snacks because I have another day on the road at least. And I also need to figure out a hotel. I'm thinking I might just go to Little Rock tonight. That's like another 100-ish miles, something like that, versus another like 150, 160, something like that to Memphis. So yeah, I need to figure that out and see where I'm staying tonight because I always wait to the last minute. And it's 7 o'clock in the evening. Yesterday when I waited till the last minute to book my hotel, it left me with a few options. I really wanted to stay at the Holiday Inn Express in Amarillo, but they were booked by the time I was booking a hotel, unfortunately. They had a lot of charging, but the charging situation ended up working out for me last night, which was good. Unlike our last charging stop there in, I don't know, you know the name of it, some like Herndon, something like that. But that was just an utter disaster. I have 4 $20 pre-auths on my credit card from charging. The first one was from the other station that was successful, so that's fine. And then 3 from the first try that got me 36 kilowatt, and then the second and third that failed after a minute or two. So that's definitely not good for most people. I mean, obviously I'm fine, but still. There's just so much work that needs to be done in EV charging customer experience. It's just pretty terrible, actually, especially when you have time-based billing like those stations were. You really need to set expectations properly and have functioning hardware, or adjust your rate accordingly. At least with kilowatt hour, if the charge is slow, you're being billed the same for the same amount of energy. It's just taking longer, which is an inconvenience, but not financially detrimental. And also, they didn't show pricing anywhere on those BTC units at either of the Francis Energy sites. So I think that should probably be legally required to show it on the station if you're going to accept direct payment on the station. I only knew what the pricing was because I had the app, and it was actually 39 cents a minute plus a $1 session fee. So it ended up being about $14.26 for that first session at the Francis that I went all the way up to 62%, which worked out to about 17 cents a kilowatt hour. So not bad, actually pretty cheap as far as the kilowatt hour rate goes. But I'm in a vehicle that could take advantage of the full power of the station the entire time I was charging, which is also why I unplugged at 62% instead of charging a little bit deeper. So someone with like a Chevy Bolt, a Nero, basically any other vehicle on the market that can't hold 350 amps flat for the entire charging session, they're going to have a higher kilowatt hour rate, and that's really not ideal. We should be focusing a little bit more on equality of pricing and just making it fair for everyone. Not only that, it's easier for the CPOs as well to manage their cost of the electricity versus what they're selling it for. We really just need to do with time-based billing for EV charging as a whole. It's really not good for anyone. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. I'm going to check on the charging again, and then I'll probably run into Walmart. Well, so it looks like we're not getting great speeds on this cable, so I'm actually going to swap to the other cable here and see if that works better. Plug here. Helps if I'm not tangling myself in the cord. So we gained almost 17 kilowatt hour in 5 minutes. So let's see if this will start immediately. Maybe. Let's see here. Actually takes quite a bit of force to twist the cable to make it work properly. Let's see if it's worthwhile if we get proper speeds again. Hopefully we do. Well, we're charging again, hopefully. That's gonna take forever to show up, so let's go in the car. See what happens here. Hopefully it ramps all the way up to 190, 200, somewhere in there. Now that we're up to 11%. Or, I mean, I guess if we get 170 again, that's not the end of the world, but I'd prefer if it went better. Well, there we go. Hopefully it holds that 200 kilowatt. Look at that. So now I'm going to go into Walmart. Well, I ended up spending way too much time trying to figure out where to stay for my hotel. But we're charged up to 93% there, added 110 kilowatt, but we also added 17 kilowatt in 5 minutes on the previous session. So it's actually 127 kilowatt hour in 70 minutes, so an hour and 10 minutes, not bad. Just let this finish here. Lots of mosquitoes out today. Yeah, it would have been almost $52. Wow. Glad all the Electrify America is free. But anyway, this is where we're headed. Aloft Little Rock West, which shouldn't be that surprising, given that I started at an Aloft in Colorado. Big fan of Aloft hotels. We've got 100 miles to go. It's slightly out of the way, but don't really care because it's a nicer hotel in my opinion. And then we'll be going that way, I believe, out tomorrow to Memphis. Well, to Charlotte, hopefully tomorrow. Let's get on the road, and here's our stats again. And 93% charge.
I'm screaming now or never.
Well, we have arrived to the Aloft Hotel. We've got six EVSEs here, and we've got this freaking dually parked here because the signage on the ground is not great. It doesn't say only EV. Over here it says low emitting and fuel efficient vehicles only. So I guess this guy could maybe say that his truck is fuel efficient for a truck, but I don't know, whatever. But we arrived with 41%, 112 miles estimated range. Let's see our trip here. So just shy of 600 miles for the day. We're just shy of 3,000 miles since purchasing the truck. 1.59 miles per kilowatt hour because I was booking it today. Was able to go rather quickly. And let's get plugged in here. I plan to use the Tesla wall connector here because that is more likely to be higher power typically. Oh, that's awesome. They've got another base here to do more chargers or more EVSEs. So this does not appear to be powered, which is interesting. Same with this one. So I wonder if I have to ask them to turn them on. That's kind of annoying if I do. They should just leave them on. It appears that none of these have power. And I made sure that my gear guard is on for parking here, because I'm really curious if this guy that drives this Super Duty comes and checks out my Rivian, because he's probably not expecting to see a truck charging on the EV charging station next to him. So that'll be kind of amusing. But I'm going to go get checked in. Look at the Aloft hotels. I always love how they look. And then hopefully can come out and plug in. Well, I just got checked in. They tried to charge me $15 to charge my car, but then the person that was checking me in called over the manager, and she was misunderstanding that it's $15 if you're not a guest to charge here, which that's also ridiculous, but it's free for guests. So plugged in, getting charged. Let's take a look and see what kind of charge rate I'm getting. And as I mentioned, I'm using the Tesla wall connector here. That should do 48 amps if it's set up on a 60 amp circuit. And it appears that should be the case. Might be a little bit low voltage, but 9 kilowatts, plenty. And we should actually get a full charge here. Let's see. I like that you can actually switch this. It makes it kind of handy. So I'm probably going to aim to be out of here probably around 8 o'clock, maybe 7:30. I don't know. I don't need 100% charge, but I just want to make sure I get as much power as possible, and there's no reason to stop at 85, especially since I'm going to be hopping in and going right away. And yeah, so gonna grab my stuff and we'll head in. And I did just notice, so they have 3 bases with 2 EVSEs each, but they actually have 3 more bases already set up. Looks like they have a conduit stub out of it, so that way they can very easily double this and have more parking on this side as well. They even have the bollards, or I guess they don't have the bollards on both sides, but they'll have to put bollards here-ish. And this hotel is set up pretty future-proof, which I like. Nicely done, the Loft Marriott. Big fan. Gonna grab my stuff, head up to my room, maybe run down to the bar, grab a drink, and then head to bed. Well, this probably looks a little similar to my room last night. I think I showed that, because it's basically the same. Love the Loft hotels, they are awesome. So, just always consistent, clean, nicely styled, big fan. I'll see you guys in the morning, and we're gonna make the, I think, 700-ish mile journey all the way back to Charlotte. Gonna have to wake up a bit early, I think, to make it at a somewhat reasonable hour tomorrow. Good morning from Little Rock, Arkansas. Just went out to my car. We're fully charged. It is almost 9 o'clock this morning, a little later than I wanted to get going, but not the end of the world. Going to spray off my windshield, clean off the bugs, run in, wash my hands after that because I don't want bug guts all over my hands. Then we're gonna hit the road and we're gonna head all the way to Charlotte today. All right, windshield's all nice and clean. I've got my iPad set up so that I can do a live stream. And we did the update last night when I got to my hotel room. So actually I meant to hit what's new. So I think I can go into settings here. I think they redid some of the settings menus. Also, let's turn on the hotspot. Okay, so the access is different. That's kind of nice. I've got Driver Plus. They definitely added some new stuff in there. So rear accessory is kind of nice, so that way if you have like a hitch rack or something, it's not yelling at you for having stuff back there. I was really hoping to have like a way to change how it displays efficiency. Okay, so that changed some stuff there. So let's go into what's new. So now I can change the temperature from the mobile app, which is nice. Before you could just turn the climate on. The rear accessory setting, which I just showed. Okay, so Driver Plus settings are now persistent. That's good. So they redesigned the exterior lighting settings menu. Just overall improvements, it sounds like. Oh, so now they have a new media panel behavior. Okay. Okay, Wi-Fi is reset, or is improved. That's good. And reduce fan noise. So that's kind of nice, I guess. I mean, it wasn't an issue for me. And improved lane centering, so we'll have to try that out. Let's look at that. Oh, so the exterior lights is redesigned. That's kind of nice. Doesn't look that much different. But anyway, so we're headed to Charlotte. Let's see how this handles it. I mean, it's a pretty easy route the whole way, so it shouldn't be too bad. As far as chargers go, we should be going through Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville. but let's find out. It's not the fastest system at route planning. Oh wow, I did it. Okay. It thinks it will take 16 hours. I think that's a bit long. Let's see here. So 6 charging stops. So why does it want us to stop in Memphis at Mercedes? That doesn't make any sense. We should be able to make it all the way to Jackson because it's 100 or like 250 miles. I think that's doable if I take it or if I drive nicely. Otherwise, I think there's a couple other Electrify Americas along the way. I think I believe that's an Electrify America. Electrify America, Electrify America. That's an EVgo. I don't know why it's having a stop there. Especially since we come in, I mean, the Electrify America's up here, so I guess that does slightly make more sense, but not when it adds an hour and a half. All right, well, let's just navigate. Let's not do that plan that the truck wants us to go. And let's just aim for this Electrify America. Right now I have it sorted to only show, or I guess it doesn't always stay. So let's turn off up to 100 kilowatt. So we'll head to Jackson, Tennessee first, I think. See if it wants us to actually be able to make it there. I don't know if it will. So it wants us to stop in Memphis. Let's remove that. And 3 hours, 37 minutes. 232 miles should be pretty easily done, so we'll go anyway. We'll drop it into conserve mode after it does a reset or apparently an update. It sometimes takes a little bit to pull up the vehicle screen. So we're going to swap into conserve here. We'll turn off auto ride height. I don't like that setting. And let's go into our trip here. So there's our stats from yesterday. So we'll do reset trip, reset, reset, reset. There we go. And now let's hit the road. And then here's our trip from since we got the truck. So time to start the live stream and get on the road. Well, we decided to make a stop here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm headed to a Circle K over here, see if they have a touchless car wash. We're at 27% state of charge. I've got the live stream going, and the Circle K is just kind of straight up there, just past the Electrify America. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the AC compressor is just buzzing like crazy. I don't know if it's cooling the battery or what. But I mean, it shouldn't need to precondition this hard, or especially not cool it this hard. I haven't been driving very hard. But I'll see you in the car wash if it's touchless. Otherwise, I'll see you at the Electrify America. All right, so as I mentioned, we are at the Memphis, Tennessee Electrify America. We're at 27%. You can see it on the energy screen here. So used a decent amount of energy. Let's look at our efficiency. So 166.6 miles driven, 1.82 mile per kilowatt hour, 91.1 kilowatt hour used. There's all the cabinets and everything. This is a Scenic site, and they've got some interesting transformer set up over here, which are those things stacked. So let's get plugged in here, and then I'm going to check that out. I've also got the live stream going. Looks like we got an i3 pulling up here. Oh, sweet. We've got a brand new cable, so hopefully this works well. One way to find out. Yeah, brand new cable. Almost too long. Let's see here. Getting that plugged in here. And the i3 is using the appropriate station, the lower power one. And we're connecting to the vehicle, initiating charging. we'll let that do its thing there and come back in just a minute. Rivian covered in bugs. Really nice red lightning over there. And let's check this out. So what do we got going on here? Hopefully there's some labels. So we've got 240 amp rated current. I'll have to take a look and see what those are. I'm not 100% sure. But we've got our power cabinets, switch gear. Oh, and there's actually, looks like a Tesla power pack over here as well. So that's kind of cool to see. And then we've got our interconnection equipment. Yeah, so we've got a Tesla power pack at this Electrify America. I think they removed the Tesla logo off of it though. Kind of makes sense, I guess. But I would be curious to check out if the Tesla install just straight ahead over there has a power pack as well. I don't believe it does, so kind of interesting that this has it. And I'm gonna run it over to Target, which is somewhere here, I think that way, roughly, and go grab some Starbucks, use the restroom, and then we'll get back on the road. And we're charged up a decent bit here, actually. We've already added 16.7 kilowatt hour, and we're getting 209 kilowatt, and already added 17 kilowatt hour in 5 minutes. So definitely gonna get going here and head over to the Target. I'll be back. And while I'm headed over to Target, here's the not Electrify America, the supercharger setup. So they have a very simple setup. They've got a single distribution cabinet here, a Lincoln Electric's EV1, and then they have the 3 supercharger cabinets themselves. And people are always asking how much power these can do. So they actually can't do as much as a lot of people say they can. So they can do max 465 amps of AC input, and that is, max continuous power is 387 kVA at 480 volt. This is actually a pretty new site, July 2022. But they can also take up to 575 kilowatt input via DC. So these are actually connected via DC buses between them, which a lot of people don't realize. So yes, they can only drive 4 stalls, but they can actually share between cabinets, which is cool. So continuing on to Target here. Well, unfortunately, the Starbucks in Target was actually closed for renovations, so that's kind of sad. It did look like the Jackson, Tennessee, Let's Try America had a Target, had a Starbucks. That's what I'm going for there. Kind of across the street from it, so maybe I'll just mobile order and grab that on my way in. But went in, used the restroom, and now I'm headed back to the car, and we should have enough charge to make it all the way to, I think it's Jackson, Tennessee. All right, back at the car here. So we're at 115 kilowatts at 61%, which makes sense. Added almost 52 kilowatt hour in 17 minutes, so we'll stop here and unplug. This cord is almost too long. It's kind of clumsy, if anything. So let's see what it would have cost. So it must be time-based billing here. Yeah, 32 cents a minute. So we added, would have been $5.71 before tax, $6.27 after tax. Very cheap, even if you were paying for this. Gonna hop back in the truck, get the live stream moved over, and then we'll be back on our way. So there we have it, 53.8, 169 miles estimated, and we're headed, let's see, to Jackson. I don't think it's actually that far. 66 miles, perfect. We'll have plenty of range to get there. We have arrived to Jackson, Tennessee. We're plugged in, or we're pulled up to a 350 kilowatt station here. And we've arrived with 33%, 92 miles estimated range. We're headed all the way to past Nashville for the next one. That way we don't have to stop there in Nashville, because you can see it's a fair bit off the way. So we're not going to go there. We're going to go all the way to here, Cookeville, Tennessee. And that's 208 miles. So we're going to have to do a fairly deep charge. But there's a Starbucks just over there. You can actually see it behind me there. So I'm going to run in and grab some Starbucks while it's charging. Let me get back in the charging screen for the live stream. We've got a videoception going on here. We've been streaming for 3 hours. We've got a Mach-E California Route 1 leaving right now from North Carolina. So that's kind of cool. Looks like they were charging for a decent bit because they've got a bit of a puddle there. So hopefully this station's in pretty good health. Complimentary session, we like that. 350 kilowatt station, we also like that. And let's try this out. We'll go with this one, see what happens. So we're plugged in there. Connecting to vehicle, that's a good sign. Let's see how this goes. Initiating charging. Okay, so I guess the other 350 is over there, so I could have pulled into that spot, nose in if I wanted to. I wasn't sure if this was the other 350 or not. Don't hear cable cooling yet. It's not a great sign. Should be going by now. There we go. So I'll give that a minute here to ramp up, and then we'll check in on it. We've got the transformer over here. We've got a 750 kVA transformer, so this site is probably load limited. Let's see if I can peek in here at all. And this site does have Tesla power as well. See if I can get a video of that. Maybe. Well, anyway, you'll just have to believe me. There's a Tesla power pack way back there. Through the crack there, you can see it all the way back. So that helps reduce the demand charges and everything here. Let's check on our speeds. Still saying initiating charging. Let's see if the car says otherwise, or truck says otherwise. Limited by charging station. That's not great. So we're going to put the kibosh on that. Let's stop charging here. And switch to the other handle before we move vehicles. Because it's going to be much easier just to swap cables than it is to move all the way over. Let's see here. There we go. So swapping into the other cable. $1.50 a kilowatt hour. What? That is crazy. I have no idea why it thinks that that's the price. Very strange. I think I plugged that in too soon, so will it finish there, maybe? If it lets me hit finish. There we go. Now let's try this again. Truck is so dirty. So many bugs on the front end. And hopefully this one works better. Doesn't look like any of these cables are new, unfortunately. They're all looking a bit tired. You can tell by the oxidation on the cable itself. So let's see. Well, we got cable cooling going. Let's see if it goes over 40. Hopefully it does. I mean, realistically it should be about 200. But anything over like 160 is acceptable. Well, it appears that this one has an issue as well. Let's just double check in the truck. Well, it seems like this station is also limited, or this cable. So I'm gonna swap over to the other 350 over there, and hopefully that one works better. All right, we're moved over to number 2 here. Let's hope for the best this time. And go for this left handle, looks maybe slightly less worn. Connecting to vehicle, all right. Initiating. Let's see if it works. Not just works, but works at full speed. That's the key part here. Just working is not enough, especially when you have a 135 kilowatt hour battery. Could take a very long time. There we go, we're charging. That's the number to focus on there. Hopefully over 47. There we go, that's promising. Now let's just keep it up. Should get to about 200. Perfect, much better. 201 is totally acceptable. And let's go into the truck, see how that's looking. 204 kilowatt shown on the truck. 205. That is a lot better. So I'm gonna place a mobile order for Starbucks and then go grab it. Well, it's time to end the charging here. I went and grabbed Starbucks, chatted with the owners of this Nissan Murano Cross Cabriolet, which is totally awesome. And let's get on the road here. We got to go all the way past Nashville. We added 74 kilowatt hour in 44 minutes, ended at 88%. And let's hop back in the truck here. We're seeing an estimated 247 miles of range. Truck says we added 75.9 kilowatt hour, and this is how far we need to go. Truck will probably think we can't make it, which is not accurate at all. Let's throw it in conserve mode here in just a moment once we get on the interstate. I don't want to do the detour to go all the way to the Electrify America here. I want to just be able to go straight through. So remove charging stops. There, just like that, and we'll do start. Go anyway. So we've got the bailout option in Nashville if we need it, but otherwise we're just gonna go the whole way just like that. No reason to stop. All right, we've arrived to Cookeville, Tennessee. You can see that here, kind of, it's east of Nashville, which we've got over here, and almost to Knoxville, which is somewhere in here. I think that's Knoxville. Yeah, that's Knoxville. So that's only 93 miles away. We realistically can probably make it all the way to Asheville if we charge a decent bit here. Okay, maybe not. That's a bit far. I think we'll make it to the Kodak, Tennessee one, though. That's 121 miles. That's actually a pretty decent one. So that's going to be our next destination. So we'll probably charge there, and maybe Asheville, or maybe one of the slower chargers along the way, just for a brief top off. Before we get to Charlotte, let's check efficiency here. So we've driven 435 miles so far, 1.85 miles per kilowatt hour, and 1.65. I did speed up a little bit toward the end as we, and hopefully that clip continue to like cut out there. But let's get plugged in here. This station seems pretty promising, I'd say. It has a brand new cable, which is really long. I don't know why these cables are so long, but it's kind of weird. Just so you can see that, how long it is. It's like almost too long looking, but if it's new and it works, I'm happy with that. So open the charge port there, and I've been leaving this open, of course, just makes it easier. But you can tell how new that is just by the color of it. Just like that, we're plugged in. Man, so many dead bugs on the front end of this thing. I've got bug remover coming, but it won't arrive till Monday, so I guess I'll have to do something else until then, or at least run it through a touchless wash. It's initiating charging. Should be going here shortly. I just heard some contactors click, and it looks like that. Just like that, we're charging. So 60, 70, 80, 100. Looks like we're ramping up properly here. I love to see it. So 190, that looks about right given low state of charge. And then as soon as it hits 30 miles of range, I'll turn on show and tell and then run inside. We're up to 50% here. In 24 minutes, we've got a Lightning next to us, which is pretty sweet. Love seeing all these Lightnings down south. They pulled up to the correct station, and because this is a pull-through style, there's no bollards in front of it. They can just do this to get to the correct side of their vehicle. Well, just finished up charging here. There's an F-150 Lightning. Great chatting with the owner there. We're charged up to 92%, definitely more than we need. We added almost 120 kilowatt hour, crazy. That's like 2 chargers in my old ID4. So we're gonna stop charging here. We charge from 7 to 92%. And I'm gonna unplug here. Sorry about the carts going by there. So I'm just curious what that would have cost. Let's see here. So, wow, $23 for that much power. That's actually a pretty good deal. Look at the F-150 Lightning going by there. Great looking truck. That's a Lariat. And let's hop in here and go. So, hour and 8 minutes, not bad. I think we can definitely make it all the way to Kodak. We could probably actually make it all the way to Asheville if we wanted to. Let's just see here. I think we will go to Kodak still. So let's head there, and then we'll continue on from there. And if we can keep going, we will. But we'll start with going to Kodak. Well, we made a detour here because I saw the sign, and we're at Buc-ee's in Crossville, Tennessee. Man, this is one of the smaller Buc-ee's, and it's just crazy how big it is. It's on a whole different level compared to every other gas station, truck stop, everything. Crazy. I'm gonna go inside, see if I can grab some food or something. Well, we've arrived to the Kodak, Tennessee Electrify America. This one next to me is unavailable, but we're not trying to use that one. We're trying to use this one here. We're at 41%, 112 miles estimated range right now. And we have, let's see how far to get home. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get to favorites here. So it's almost a 4-hour drive home still, so that's fun. It's 9 o'clock at night here. Hopefully that goes a little bit quicker than 4 hours. I really don't remember it being that long of a drive. Apparently, okay, so charge for 7 minutes, here's what it's saying. And then go to, oh. It wants me to go to an EVgo for an hour and a half. No wonder it's saying so long. And then it's saying I'll arrive at 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's not do that. So let me show you the plan. So like I said, 41%, 112 miles. Then let's see. So it wants us to charge there for an hour and a half at an Electrify America, or at an EVgo. Yeah, in Asheville. So I don't think we actually need to go there. It is, I don't know why it didn't show me. Oh, that's a lot of categories there. Well, actually, let's get plugged in, then we can mess with that. So, a moment. Hopefully this 350 kilowatt station is working, given that this one is unavailable, but this is a 150. These are actually the newer style Scenic dispensers, but not the new ones. So complimentary session, that's good. That looks like a fairly new handle. There we go. Maybe. Just didn't hit it right. Bit of glare from the light bar here made it hard to see. Lots of bugs on the headlights there, on the windshield as well. Live stream's going. Complimentary session, initiating charging. Let's see here the status of the station. Also complimentary session on this 350. And complimentary on the 150 Chatamo. So that's pretty good. If only one station is down, it's not the end of the world, but still not great. So there we have that. I hear cable cooling ramping up, and we've got power. So we're at 41%. Just make sure it goes to full power. Signets always do this thing where it gives like 40 kilowatts, and then it drops to single digits, and then it ramps all the way up. I don't know why they do that. But we should, I believe, get 200 kilowatts, possibly a little less. Still trying to memorize the charging curve here on this car. But 160 is certainly acceptable. So let's figure out our charging plan in the car, or truck. Yeah, look at that windshield, just covered in bugs. We're at a Harley and Bass Pro Shops, and it's closed. Well, the F-150 Lightning's back. Chatted with a 2018 Model 3 owner that retrofitted his own CCS support. We're charged up to 95%, plenty to get back to Charlotte, so we'll hit stop charging there. So it looks like we saved $17 because it's time-based billing here. It's actually really cheap, even for a really long session like that. And let's get on the road here because we've got a lot of miles to cover still. So it's showing 261 miles of estimated range. And let's see if the truck thinks we can actually make it home. It's silly that it includes your favorites in a separate menu from the rest of it. Oh, the live stream has 20 viewers right now. Wow. So let's remove charging stops. See if it thinks we'll make it. It says charging required. We don't need charging. We're going to get back at like 1:30 in the morning, so that's fun. But 214 miles to go. I think I'll beat that time. That seems long for only 214 miles. But let's get to it. It's going to be a long one. And we're taking off here. Lightning, Tesla, and another Lightning, but let's get to it so that way I'm not blocking charging.
That's another one over there, huh? The red one.
Yeah, that red looks great.
I'd say that's the same color I got on the Mustang, that red color.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get going. Well, we made it back in Charlotte. I'm at 3% state of charge, less than a mile from my apartment here. Going to run through a touchless car wash, assuming it's open. I'm not sure if they're 24/7. Just get some of the bugs off, and I'll give it a better wash tomorrow. But I figure if I can get some of it off today, great, and then we'll run it through the wash again tomorrow and give it a nice wipe down with some detailer, maybe a precondition on any remaining bugs, and go from there. So we're about to pull into the Circle K parking lot with the car wash and hoping it's open. Oh, next one here. Well, I just pulled into my apartment complex, and what are the chances of this? There's another Rivian here, a black one that I've never seen before, also has temp tags. Crazy. But I'm pulling up to the apartment charging, and hopefully can charge up there. Otherwise I'll pull down here and I'll be parking next to this Rivian and charging down here. Well, my actual apartment charging is full with Teslas, white Teslas and a BMW plug-in hybrid, so that's fun. That Tesla's done charging, and let's see. And it actually looks like both are charging there as well. So I guess we'll be parking next to that other Rivian and charging down there in the retail section charging. That works. It's a little freaky being in a tall vehicle in this kind of short parking ramp. Even though I know I have enough clearance, it just, I don't know, makes me feel like I need to duck, which makes absolutely no sense. Well, there we have the other Rivian. Looks like midnight on Black Mountain on dark 22s. Pretty nice looking truck, I'd say, but I prefer mine. We're at 2% state of charge, 4 miles estimated range. And here are some final stats. So we have 3735 miles on the truck now, 1.74 mile per kilowatt hour. That's since taking delivery. We also used over 2 megawatt hour, and I've spent 72 hours in the vehicle already. So that's pretty crazy. And for today alone, we've driven 769 miles, average speed 66 miles per hour, spent almost 12 hours. Those are driving hours. 1.83 miles per kilowatt hour, and we used 420 kilowatt hours today alone. So going to get plugged in here on these charge points, and they're free. So yeah, this Rivian looks pretty dirty, but I need to get a picture of both of our trucks here. Pretty cool that we have both. There's mine, there's theirs. So I'm definitely going to have gear guard on so that way I can see their reaction to my vehicle. So it looks like, based on their temp tag, they took delivery probably 4 days after I did, so they've had it about the same amount of time. And I stand corrected, it's actually forced edge interior, which not a huge fan of personally. So you can see it in there, the green hues on the dash. But otherwise, nice looking truck. Looks like they don't have gear guard on, which is interesting. I think the meatier tires of the 20-inch all-terrain is a little bit higher profile tire, and actually bigger overall diameter. Looks better than the 22s. So, I mean, if I had 22s, I'd probably go up 1 aspect ratio just to make it look a little better. And now we're charging. Let's see here. Just like that. And I'm going to set my charge limit down to 70% to be nice to the truck after the hard time it's been having. And wow, 1 day because it's such a large battery. So let's set energy. We'll go to 70% just like that. Perfect. So it's dropping that. and I'm gonna clean up some of this trash and just other stuff going on in my car before I head to my apartment. Well, I'm just getting wrapped up here. If you've made it this far, really appreciate you watching this video. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Tons more Rivian content to come, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you again for watching.